and I'm training you on briefings, pre-meet briefings, and pre-briefings for everything. So we got like a gaggle of guys in the locker room now who are, you know, almost all teenagers, right, other than the coaches. So we're going to give them a briefing on what the protocol is here. Because the reason we'll do these briefings is we're trying to empower everybody to do the right thing without me always having to go, you know, here, oh, you recorded that wrong. Oh, you don't understand what the start signal is. When I do this and blow the whistle, that means start the clock, okay? Like, so we don't want to have to do a million things and hold everybody's hand. So we're always going to set everybody up for success, and it starts here with the weigh-in. We got this gaggle of kids in there, right? So we're going to give them a protocol that they can follow. So first thing I want you to do, and this goes again with setting the tone, get their attention and expect them to be quiet and to cooperate. If they're not, wait until they are quiet so they can listen to your briefing for them, right? So I just, you know, coach, you guys here, you guys are great. Okay, close the doors. Nobody leaves, nobody comes in anymore. All right, wrestlers, listen up. 3 guys are mumbling on. Listen up. Hey, shut up. Okay, now that I got them, okay, now I'm ready to give them the briefing. And if I'm giving it, and all of a sudden those 3 guys start mumbling, did you hear what I said? Okay, yeah, let's go over that again, you know, like, so expect them to be quiet and cooperate, right? We don't have to be jerks, it's just, it's an efficiency and a respect thing and being in your role, okay? Like I said, announce that nobody leaves or enters. It's like, nobody comes in, nobody goes out without my permission. If you do, you're not wrestling tonight. All right, you tell them these things because they don't know these kind of rules, right? Some kid's sitting there waiting, he knows, well, they're starting with 152 pounders, I'm a 113 pounder. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, my dad's texting me, I better go out and go see what he wants. Like, he might like wander off and not know that, oh, who was that? He's not wrestling. Because he's a kid, he doesn't know these rules. So you tell them this stuff so they know, hey, nobody leaves or else you're not wrestling. Oh, okay. Now they're empowered to do the right thing, right? Get them in the right weight order, right? Okay, we're starting with 152 pound weight class, so Tahoma over here, Kentwood over here. Get in weight order, guys. And the coaches will usually sort of take over and get them in the right order. And the really good teams, they just have discipline around this. It's the teams where the coach is kind of new, wrestling's not an important or mainline sport for them. These are the teams where it's going to be sort of like, they're a little more chaotic, okay? But get them in weight line order, okay? Now, during your briefing, tell them that we weigh in order, and once we finish a weight class, we close that weight class. And there are consequences, so we're going to tell them the consequences. So I'll go through like my briefing after I sort of hit all these elements for you just to see how this comes together, right? But we're going to tell them that if they haven't weighed in by the time a certain weight class closes, they can't wrestle in that weight class. So, and I'll show you how I do this in my example, right, when I brief them. So, tell them no more activities to gain or lose weight. So all that stuff stops, no more jumping around, no one goes to the bathroom, no one's drinking water, okay? Tell them what the required attire and prohibited attire is. So this year the state of Washington is changing the weigh-in procedure. I haven't seen the final protocol yet, but they're going to weigh in with their competition singlet on. So last year we had the guys weigh in separately. They could weigh in their undergarment. They're supposed to weigh in their undergarment. They don't weigh in naked anymore, so this is a change. They're not allowed to because of, you know, sort of privacy and sexual predators and all that kind of stuff, right? So now, no, that's not going to be an issue. And girls would weigh in separately, and they would weigh in their singlets. And, you know, some people probably said, hey, how come they weigh in one way, we weigh in another? Our singlets heavier than their underwear or whatever? Like, okay, yeah, that's not really equitable. So they've decided, okay, well, everybody's going to weigh in their singlet. So, I haven't seen the final protocol, but, you know, they'll weigh in that, but, you know, they're not allowed to wear other stuff, like socks or you know, watch or other stuff, right? Like, there's certain things that they can't wear when they're weighing in, okay? If they have a note for an illness or communicable disease, skin condition primarily, so things like ringworm or staph infection or impetigo or other sort of scary stuff, right? Like, there's an NFHS approved form. They have to have their note on that form. They're not allowed to have some piece of notebook paper with a scraggled doctor signature that you can't read that says, oh yeah, Dr. so-and-so said I'm cleared to wrestle. Has to be on the form. The form has like a little images, you know, silhouettes of the human being with a, you can circle that it was the shoulder and down the right knee, and so you can read, and it'll have space that says when did the visit take place, when is the wrestler eligible to return to competition. So I might say, okay, February 4th is the day he went to the doctor, and may return to competition starting February 6th, and it's ringworm, tinnitus or whatever, and again, it's on his left shoulder, right knee, or whatever. You'll see by the diagram, so that you can look at the note and you can sort of go, okay, let me see his left shoulder, and then the right knee, like you can look at it. So, but they have to have they have to use that form. If they don't have that form, and there's an issue with their skin or health, then they're out of luck. And I always tell them to, you know, if they have a note, get it right now, have it when you come to get weighed in. Don't make me ask you for it. Like, you should present it to me. Like, when you step up to get weighed in, you're waiting, and then, okay, here, versus me going, what's that? Oh, hey, coach, you got that note? Okay. Mouth guard, if they're using a mouth guard, they're required to have a mouth guard if they have braces. The mouth guard has to cover all of the braces. So if they have uppers and lowers, they have to have the mouth guard on top and bottom. They only have uppers, let's say, they only have to have a mouth guard for the upper. But the mouth guard also has to cover the biting surface. They have a product where you can sort of snap on the braces like a little shield, but it doesn't cover the biting surface. It doesn't meet the mouth guard requirement. So if they using a mouth guard, then we instruct them when you come to get inspected for the weigh-in, have the mouth guard as well, so I can see that, okay, you have uppers and lowers, okay, good. Go ahead and put that away.
Now, it's required with braces. Do they have to show it if they're just wearing one because they just want to wear one?
No.
Okay.
Alright, and then when they come to the scale, just tell them what to expect, okay, what you want them to do. So here's what my briefing looks like when okay, all you guys here? Okay, all you guys here, Lowell? Okay, great. Okay, close the doors, everybody. Nobody goes in or nobody comes out. Alright, everybody listen up. You guys, hey, alright, good. Weigh in weight order. We're starting with the 152 pound weight class tonight. So get in weight line. When we weigh in, each weight class, as we go in order, when it's time to close that weight class, I'll make a call. Last call, any other 152 pounders. If you're weighing in and you want to wrestle 152, you have to have weighed in by the time the 152 pound class closes. If you don't, you're not eligible. So, for instance, let's say you weigh 151.0, and I call the 152 pounders and you don't step up. And I make the last call, and then I close the weight class, and I say 160 pounders to the scale, and you step on and you weigh 151. You will not wrestle 152. You're not eligible. You have to have weighed in by the time the 152 pounders weigh in if you want to wrestle that weight class. Okay?
Is there always multiple? Oh, sorry. Is there always multiple wrestlers for each weight class?
No. Some teams won't have anybody in a weight class, and some will have like 6 kids on a weight class sometimes. So you don't know who's actually going to compete. You're just weighing them all in and checking them. Okay. Okay. Nobody does anything to do any weight loss or weight gain at this point. Nobody goes off to the bathroom or any place else without my permission. If you do, you're not going to wrestle tonight. You're going to be disqualified. Okay. When you step up to get weighed in, you have to be in your competition singlet only. No hats, no earrings, no socks, no bracelets, nothing else. Okay. If you need a hair cover, if you're wearing a hair cover tonight, put your headgear with your hair cover on, okay? Be wearing it when you come up to the scale. When I call it, if you have a doctor's note, I want you to get your note now. I want you to give me the note. I don't want you to have me ask you for it. I'm not a UN weapons inspector. I shouldn't go, what is that? And you go, oh, coach, but do you have my note? No. You have your note and you give it to me, okay? If you're wearing a mouth guard tonight, be holding your mouth guard so that when I call you up, you can show me the mouth guard, all right? So when you step up to the scale, First thing I'll do is inspect your hair, skin, and nails, and then I'll ask you to lift your arms up and turn slowly for me so I can inspect your skin for any skin conditions. Once I've done that, if there's any corrections, I'll let you and your coach know. We'll get you on the scale, we'll record your weight. If you don't make weight, you get one more chance on the scale. And if whatever your weight is, that's what we will record. Okay? Anybody have any questions about any of that? No? Okay. Kentwood, 152 to the scale. Okay, and then we start. Okay.
Did you start with the home team, visiting team?
I start with visitors all the time. They get to draw for the random draw. I start with them first on the way in. You know. Okay.
Do you get a lot of skin conditions?
We get enough, yeah, because of the nature of this sport. Like they're not, unlike football. They're all padded and they're taped. There's not much skin-on-skin contact. But in our sport, we're laying on each other. Squeezing and so guys. Stuff will spread around if they don't take care of themselves. So if you get some guy that's foolish and careless, he can spread ringworm or impetigo around to a bunch of people.
Now, speaking of that, I know we were anal retentive about sanitizing.
Yeah.
Do we as officials oversee that? Because I've seen, in here we oversee quite a bit of additional stuff.
We don't do that other than if you had a concern. So let's say if you're looking at the mat and you go, this mat's filthy, like, hey, mop this up, please. Like you're in control of the event, right? You administer the contest. That's one of your roles. That's one of your main roles. So you're in control of things. And literally, there's certain things that if you want to just bring everything to a halt until they do what you ask them, you have that power. Hey, we don't wrestle again until somebody mops that mat. Like that kid threw up over there. Like we need to, Where those guys were walking across the mat, when we were, waiting for the dual meet to begin, there's like, look at the footprints, and like, somebody clean that, please. Like, I have to put my head down there too when I'm looking at a pin or something, like, I don't want to catch anything. Alright, so that's the prep for the weigh-in. So now, we're going to conduct weigh-in. So all we're going to do is just follow the script we gave them, right? If I told them all this stuff, just do that stuff. And when they don't comply, then you just got to remind them, right? So for each weight class, like I said, we're just going to announce the weight class and have the visiting team come first. And again, they may have multiple guys, so it's okay. First, Kentwood, 152 pounder. Okay, great. Okay, step on the scale. 151.7. All right. Any others? Okay, one more. Okay, come on up here. Turn. Okay. All right. And before they step on the scale, make sure that you've checked the node, done the inspection and stuff. Make sure that they turn slowly enough for you when you inspect their skin, okay? So don't, like, oh wait a second, I couldn't see anything. Because again, remember, we're protecting ourselves as well as them and whoever they're competing with, right? Like I said, if there's a discrepancy, just tell, hey, you're gonna need to shave that. You got a razor, coach, he's gonna need to shave this. Okay, so let the coach know, tell the kid. All right.
No facial hair?
They're unless they wear a face mask, or the main concern here is that it's not like sandpaper, right? So if you have a question about it, you might go, okay, yeah, that's too much. Like if he showed up like that, you go, do you have a face mask? No, okay, you either need to get a face mask or you have to shave. Like you can't compete like that. This isn't the Olympics. Okay, so
We used to shave our arms so they'd be prickly, so they'd be cross-faced.
just a sprinkle, huh?
Yeah.
Make sure the scale reads 0, so you have these digital scales, because sometimes the guy will step off and it'll say like -0.1 or something, so if you're not careful, okay, before you get them on the scale, like, oh, hold on a second, there's a button on there that'll say 0 or tare, T-A-R-E, you push it, okay, it says 0, okay, great, go ahead and step on now. So, make sure it reads 0. Once it settles, sometimes the thing might be 120, 5.8, 126.0, 125A, 126.2, okay. So some of these scales can be a little jittery. Like once it settles, then now, okay, 126.0, okay, get off. Like that's the weight class. Like let's not let it get up to 126.2 or whatever. Just get off now. If he made weight, fine, he's done. If he didn't, like I said, he gets one more attempt on that scale. If it's a tournament, he gets his initial attempt, he gets one more attempt on that scale. If he hasn't made it, then he is eligible or allowed to weigh in one time on any other scale that's in use for that tournament. At the state tournament down in the Tacoma Dome, when we do weigh-ins, there's a scale for each of the 14 weight classes. We have 14 scales going. So some kid's over here at the 106 and he steps on, he's 106.1 or whatever, and he doesn't make it, and 106, they'll start marching him down the line, each scale, until he gets one attempt on each of them, until he either makes it or he's exhausted them all. Most tournaments we do, you might have 2, 3, maybe even 4 scales, you know, but they get an attempt on every scale that's in effect at a tournament. For a dual meet, there should only be 1 scale. They shouldn't be say, oh, we have another scale there. No, we're just, everybody's weighing in on this scale. This is a dual meet, not a tournament. We don't have like a bunch of, you know, hundreds of kids to weigh in. We just have like, you know, 14 from each school. Alright. Once you finish the visitors, then that's when we'll, any other Kentwood 152? No, okay. Tahoma 152? Alright, come on up. Alright, and you'll do all the home guys. Same thing. So we're just following our script. Okay, after the last home wrestle, then that's when we're going to make the announcement. Like, okay, no other 152s. Last call, 152 pounds. Anybody have 152? Nope. 152 pound weight class is closed. 160, Kentwood. Now, if some dude shows up, oh, wait, oh, what, did you say 152? Like, nope, we're done. And that one, like I said, there's a chance for chaos here. So, like, I was coaching for 5 years down in the Tacoma Narrows League, and when we would do our postseason tournament, it wasn't our association officiating that tournament, that's the association down Southwest, provides all those officials. And it would irk me that when they would do the weigh-ins, that they would do the weigh-ins in the auxiliary gym, they'd have all the wrestlers in there. All this stuff I'm telling you is rule. We gotta close the weigh-in area, nobody comes and goes, nobody's allowed to lose weight, they gotta weigh in and order all that stuff. They wouldn't do any of this stuff. They wouldn't brief anybody, they wouldn't say anything. So we literally would be in the middle of weigh-in, and there's kids that are coming from the locker room, walking into the auxiliary gym now for weigh-in. They've already weighed in like 2 or 3 weight classes. Like, where the hell was that kid? Like, no, you're not allowed in here. Or, you know, even worse, a kid weighs in after they'd already closed his weight class, like 10 minutes earlier. So he was like some 132 pounder, right? And they're weighing in 170 pounders, and here's this kid, oh, hey, he needs to weigh in. Like, oh, okay. So their officials were just allowing this kind of chaos to happen. Eventually the host school coach at Foss High School, he was really irked too. He's like, and he knows I'm an official, he's like, Bob, he says, we need to stop this stuff. He says, you stand by the door. Like, okay. So I stood at the door, and I literally had to turn away a couple of kids who, okay, they started weighing. Okay, here's some kid coming from the locker room, like, where are you going? I just went, nope. But, nope, you were supposed to be in there. This is closed. Too bad. So, chaos can happen here if we don't control these things. And the reason, again, we're trying to control them so much is equity, right, and fairness. I don't know what that kid was doing in the locker room. He might have been, forcing himself to throw up so he could lose the last 2 pounds in the last 2 minutes, right? Or he might have been over there, again, doing a hot steam shower or something to try to lose weight quickly. Hey, if you weren't in there when you were supposed to, everybody else was. Everybody else had to stop losing weight. I don't know, you might have gotten an advantage, an extra 10 minutes of weight loss, while everyone else was standing in line waiting. So that's what these rules are for. We don't want to introduce this kind of chaos, okay? All right. So once we move on to the next weight class, then we just write down the script again. Each weight class is the same until you get to the end, and then it's like, okay, any other 145 pounders? Step to the scale. No, nobody. 145 pound weight class is closed. Weigh-in is closed. At that point, they have these sheets that they're recording weights on. They have a weight management system. So the kids have to have certain weights that they're required to meet. So after the coaches will record the weights on their sheets, and then after that weigh-in is closed, you'll sign the sheet as the official. That's their record that they can keep for their weight management program. Alright, so we finished the weigh-in, so now that weigh-in's over, we're gonna, again, get pre-meet for the teams, and the goal here, right, is we wanna have clear expectations for the competitors. We're trying to help them know what to expect, okay? Because again, they don't have to know certain rules, they don't really care, or they don't really understand certain rules, so however you're gonna call things, like they should understand, especially with some of the controversial stuff like stalling, let's say. Alright, so for pre-meet, while you're in the locker room and you finish weigh-in, that's when you'll just establish where you're gonna do the pre-meet. I always pre-meet the visitors first, so it'd be like, okay, where's your team gonna be? Where can I pre-meet them? Oh, someone around the bleachers already. Like, okay, I'll just do them in the bleachers or at the bench. Yeah, okay. How about in 5 minutes I'll get your team, okay? Okay, Ephraim, how about your team? You want me to do that in the wrestling room? Yeah, well, our guys will be in the wrestling room. Okay, how about I'll come get your guys in 15 minutes and do that? Okay, great. So, let them know, right? Like I said, visiting team first. Any of these places are eligible. If they want to do it in the locker room right after they're weighing in, sometimes we do that. They haven't left, okay, great. I've done it where the teams are sitting in the bleachers after weigh-in and they're just having, refreshments because they're eating and drinking some stuff, and it's sort of like, I've just done both teams at the same time. Okay, guys, you don't need to leave the bleachers. Everybody, can you hear me okay? And then I'll do my pre-meet in front of both teams at the same time while they're sitting in the bleachers. Or do them at their benches or in their wrestling room or wherever. So, for a comprehensive briefing, like in the case manual, referee's manual, the yellow book, there's a section in there that talks about pre-meet duties and the things that you should cover. Each person can cover whatever they feel is important and how they want to do it. Some officials are really, really brief. Down in Tacoma, I want to remind you about the 4 S's, safety, stalling, I don't even remember what the other 2 S's are, but they take like 3 minutes and then they're done. But whatever it is, whatever you're going to do, I just want you to make sure that, again, your goal, set expectations, set people up to succeed, okay? So, a comprehensive briefing will, I'm just going to share what mine is, the elements, right? I always identify who the captains are, and I give them a responsibility. Hey, are all your team here? Where's Jimmy? Like, okay, let me know when they're all here. Like, that's the captain. Get your team together, okay? Alright. Once we got the team there, then we're going to check for any special equipment. Like, if they're wearing a knee brace with metal parts in it, the guy's going to wear a face mask or something. So, like, we're going to inspect that equipment, like, check it out right now to make sure, oh, hey, this isn't padded enough or whatever. You need more padding on that metal brace there. Oh, now he's got time to be correcting this, right? Versus if I catch it when he's walking on the mat, getting ready to wrestle, and I go, oh, wait, that's not, you can't wrestle with that. He might get eliminated. So, we're going to identify and inspect special equipment. Going to catch any uniform discrepancies. Is like, is it you wrestling in that tonight? Like, for instance, the rule on tights. If they wear tights, they have to have stirrups. That way they can't come out separately from, the shoe or whatever. Well, some of these kids are wearing tights that don't have stirrups. So I might, if I saw a kid, where this is what I'm seeing, like I see at the bottom of the tight, like skin, like, okay, wait a second. Like, you can't wear that on the mat. That has to have stirrups. Okay, well, now he can correct that before, we start wrestling in a half an hour, okay? So if there's something wrong with the uniform, catch it there. I reinforce the starting positions. Anybody have any questions about what constitutes a good starting position, the top, bottom, or neutral position? No? Nobody ever does, and every night I always give lots of cautions. So just remember, if you get in the wrong position, the sequence goes caution, caution, 1, 1, 1, 1. So just get in the right position, and you'll avoid all that, okay? On rare occasions, some kid will go, oh, yeah, I do. When I'm in the bottom, am I allowed to, and I'll just, okay, here, let's just go through it, right? But again, because I'm just going to enforce the rules, I want them to know that. Because unfortunately, a bunch of other officials won't enforce that rule, and so I don't want to catch them by surprise, and then suddenly in the middle of a competition, I'm getting inside their head, because what the hell is wrong with this referee? Like, why is he so nitpicky? Well, they learned I'm nitpicky in the pre-meet. And when they watch their first teammate go out there and get sloppy with starting positions, and they go, oh my gosh, like he actually is he said he was gonna do that, and he's doing it. And then usually, if they're getting in the wrong position, like the first guy or two, I'm listening to a rules clinic taking place on the bench, you know, the coach said, guys, don't touch the lines with your hands and knees, you know, like I'm hearing that, good, correct them, like, again, I don't wanna be the guy teaching your kids this 14 different matches, you can take care of that. I emphasize to them that the goal is they get to wrestle aggressively and that they need to operate within the 10-foot circle. I tell them, matter of fact, the first sentence in the rule book on stalling says that if you can be in the 10-foot circle, you're expected to be there, okay? Because, and the purpose behind all that is, if they're not inside the 10-foot circle, they're that much closer to the boundary line. And I tell them this, when you're not in the 10-foot circle, you're that much closer to the boundary line, which when you go out of bounds, the clock doesn't run, nobody scores, nobody can get pinned, okay? There's no wrestling taking place, so you're expected to stay in the 10-foot circle. And then I'll demonstrate for the match. I say, hey, come here. So, for instance, this is especially important when we're on our feet. Come on over here, and I'll grab some kid, right? So come on over here. You'll be the kid. So, especially important when we're on our feet. For instance, going takedowns. If we're moving around, we get outside the 10-foot circle. Let's say the table's 10-foot circle, and we break apart. We need to get back in that 10-foot circle. Okay. If you can be in the 10-foot circle and you choose not to be. So if we break apart, he goes back in the 10-foot circle, and I stay out here, stalling. Okay? They need to know. That's what's going to happen. Okay? So, if you tell them this stuff in advance, now they're thinking about it, versus they get hit with it. Like this happened at the state meet, or a state tournament, about 8 years ago. I've got some kid from down in Vancouver. I've never seen this kid, because I didn't officiate up here, and he wrestles down in Southwest Washington. Well, he's matched up against a kid from Inglemoor, who I see those guys with frequency, because that's in our geography. So they're wrestling first round, and this is what's happening. They're tied up, and they go outside the 10-foot circle, and then they break apart, and I say center circle, and the Inglemoor kid immediately goes into the center circle, and the Evergreen of Vancouver kid, who's about 3 steps away from the circle, goes just like this. And I say, center circle, and he doesn't budge. And I go, stalling green, and he, the Inglemoor kid knew. He went back in that 10-foot circle, and this guy, he wanted, nope, come on out here, because if my takedown doesn't work, I can bail out on the boundary line out here. I don't want to be doing all that stuff in there, because if it doesn't work, I got nowhere to go. You might take me down. And that was he had gotten away with that all season. Suddenly, he's camped out here like, okay, come on. Nope, you need to go in there. And he didn't. After the second time I yelled it to him, like, center circle, stalling green. And suddenly, he reluctantly went into the center circle. And he lost that match because, again, he wanted to wrestle out by the boundary. And that's not where wrestling takes place. It takes place inside the 10-foot circle. Okay? I also talked to them about technical violation, so I'll just sort of share what I say with them. So how many of you have heard of technical violation called fleeing the mat? Okay? Well, people call it fleeing the mat, but that's not what it's for technically. What the rule book says, it's not just for running off the mat. The rule book says you are required to make every effort to stay in bounds. So again, I'll get a demonstrator. So go ahead and put your headphones down again. So I'll get a demonstrator. So for instance, if I'm on top and he's on bottom, and he stands up, and let's say the boundary's out there, and I'll actually demonstrate to him, and we just both sort of saunter out of bounds. Technical violation, both wrestlers, 1 point. Because when we get over here, did either of us make any effort to stay in bounds? No. So when we get out here, he better be turning in, I better be pulling him in. Okay? So I am getting inside their head right now, like, don't even go out there. Because if you do, I expect you to move inward. Okay? But then I ask them, but if you want to avoid that violation, well, then what should you do? Stay in the 10-foot circle, exactly. You should referee. And there's usually some smart kid that will say that, right? Exactly. Wrestle in the 10-foot circle. And then we don't ever even make that call. Okay? And the reason I focus on this is part of preventive officiating again. If we don't encourage them or make them sort of wrestle in the center of the mat, wrestling action will go out to the edge and go out of bounds, and it will stop a lot. And a 6-minute match will take 10 minutes because every 15 seconds they maneuver and it goes out of bounds. And then we stop and we have to go back over here and reset. And so wrestling, the sport of wrestling, part of it is endurance. And part of it is, again, aggressive wrestling needs it to happen. It needs to be a continuous flow as much as possible. So interrupting matches by going out of bounds every 15 seconds, you don't get a flow, and it doesn't test them the way it should. So that's why we're going to keep them in the center. That's the way the sport was designed. Okay. All right. I explained to them in-match communications. I let them know that, hey, when I talk to you while the wrestling's happening and the clock's running, I'm talking to both of you at the same time. I'll say things like, center circle, make every effort to stay in bounds, wrestlers, work to score. I won't say things like, you better shoot or I'm going to call you for stalling. If you stick the leg in one more time, you better turn him or I'm going to hit you for stalling. That's called coaching. Okay? So, not my job to coach, I'm here to officiate. I'm not going to help your opponent because your coach is going to say, hey, don't tell him what to do to not, just hit him with stalling. Don't tell him how to avoid stalling, just hit him for it. Okay? That's how you tell him. Now the exception is, during potentially dangerous situations, that's when I'll talk directly to an individual wrestler while the wrestling's in progress, for safety reasons. I'll give you guidance. So I may tell you things like, hey, top guy, make sure he can breathe in there, and I'll demonstrate, again, I'll grab a kid like, with a tight hand arm, make sure he can breathe in there, and I'll loosen up a little bit. Keep that legal, listen to me in those situations, you keep your good hold and your good situation going. If you don't, you run the risk that you're going to push something too far, I'm going to stop the action, at least for potentially dangerous. You may injure your opponent, you may get penalized for an illegal hold. So listen to me in those situations. That's the one time I'll talk directly to one wrestler, okay? I always share with them the two main functions I have tonight. One is to make sure the match is running according to the rules. The other is to protect the safety of the wrestlers. I want both of you to walk off the mat the same way you walk down, okay? Those are the two things of equal importance here. And then if there are significant rule changes, we're going to cover those. This year, the significant rule change is that out of balance does not prevent your shoulders being out of balance doesn't protect you from being pinned or getting near fall anymore. It used to. If you got your shoulders out of balance, they couldn't score on you there, they couldn't pin you. Now they can. So we'll need to cover those significant rule changes with them in our pre-meet to make sure that they understand, so that they'll know this stuff. Okay.
No more cutting the grass.
Yeah, I always emphasize sportsmanship to them. Sure. Hey, good handshakes before and after the match. If you don't like my call, you don't like what the other kid did, you don't like how the match turned out, don't swear, don't push your opponent, don't throw your headgear, don't criticize the official. All of those things are unsportsmanlike. You have teachers, parents, neighbors, friends in the stands. You're wearing your school colors. Represent your school well, and stay in control of yourself. And captains, this is where you have a special role in the area of sportsmanship for the rest of the team. Set the example, especially on the bench. Okay. And then, lastly, I ask them, does anybody have any questions on any holds, rules, or situations you want me to cover before we wrestle tonight? Once we get out on the mat, we don't have time for these long chats and coffee. So, if you have a question now, feel free. And sometimes, oh yeah, sir, the other night when I did this and the referee stopped it, and it's like, oh, yeah, because if you do it that way, you're choking him or whatever. Like, oh, okay. Like, any other questions? No? If not, wrestle aggressively, be good sports, and good luck. Boom, and now off to the other team. So, my pre-meet's longer than like 99.999% of referees, but when I cover all these things, nobody is going to be caught by surprise. Again, when I'm doing stuff like saying, center circle, stalling. Okay? Like, oh, are you set on the bottom? Yes, okay. Caution green, illegal starting position, can't be touching the line with your hands there. Like, they know this stuff's coming. So, the goal is just try to set expectations with them. Again, what we're trying to avoid with wrestlers is that you want to do this with any competitor. You don't, as an official, you don't want to get in their head when they're trying to focus on competing. Because suddenly, for the first time all season, something's happening to them that nobody else enforced on them. Okay? So we're trying to avoid that situation. Alright. Facilities and support staff. So here we just want to make sure the environment is ready to go. Okay, so the main things in facilities for the mat, we want to make sure that there's no gaps, like they're taped together right, or some of the new mats now they actually don't use tape, they have like Velcro, they sort of fit together and Velcro to each other so they don't have tape anymore. Make sure there are proper markings. We went through a whole season one time and I didn't ever go to East Lake to do any events, but when we were doing the Kinko tournament, and I was on the Kinko tournament crew, somehow East Lake had their mat there. They didn't have a 10-foot circle. So in the first session, I was a head official, and I'm not on the mat 'cause I'm watching the other guys officiate the first set of matches, and I'm looking at that mat going, something's wrong with that mat. Like, wait a second, what is that? Like, and it took me about a minute to finally figure out, there's no 10-foot circle on it. Like, how the hell did we get to the season tournament? And like, it just made me wonder, like, what are my guys doing when they're out at these schools? Like, they like let this go. So I had to tell the athletic director, I said, that has to have a 10-foot circle. Like, before the next session, we need to put a 10-foot circle on that thing. They did. They put tape and. Make sure that you do whatever you can to mitigate or eliminate safety risks. Some things you can't get rid of. That's why I say mitigate, because there's facilities permitted. Permitted is a phrase you'll see in the rule book. Like we're supposed to have, a certain amount of clearance around the mat. But in some cases you may be in a gym where they're doing two double dual. They have 2 mats down, and suddenly there's only this much room between the edge of the mat and the wall over here, right? Or sometimes in tournaments, they were laying down 4 mats on the gym floor, and one of the mats is up against the folded up bleachers, right? And so they might put a padded mat here, but it's sort of like, okay, coach, if they're going in that direction, I'm gonna blow the out of bounds early. They're not even gonna be out of bounds. I can't wait for them to, cross the boundary line, and a millisecond later they're bashing into the bleachers, even though it's padded. So do what you can to recognize any safety risks and eliminate them or mitigate them. The benches are required to be 10 feet from the mat, again, facilities permitting. So in the situation, sometimes I'm in a middle school where they got 2 mats down, and they've got the chairs lined up against the wall here, basically, and their feet are on the mat, the boundary line's over there, so you just gotta do the best you can, given the situation. But when I pre-meet, and I'm looking at this stuff, because I'm doing it before we ever get to the competition, and if I notice that, I'm gonna sit there and I start from the mat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm just stepping it off, and if I notice, okay, 7, 8, 9, 10, there's the chairs, and I'll grab one of those chairs and I'll go, hey, guys, line up the rest of them with that one. And then I just get the team to drag all the chairs back to 10 feet, okay? But catching that stuff, right? Again, this is part of setting your tone, doing your duties. And then miscellaneous stuff, there needs to be a garbage can nearby. And again, you don't want the garbage can encroaching in the safety space, so just somewhere near the mat so they can spit, throw their, bloody cotton balls away or whatever when they wipe the mats and, clean the mat or whatever, they can throw stuff in the garbage can. And a blood station. In our sport, in all sports now, right, you gotta stop stuff when people are bleeding. So in our sport, we're stopping the competition. In football, right, they just say, well, that player's gotta leave the field, but some other guy can come on the field. In our sport, when the guy goes up and now the competition stopped, we have to wait for him to get, the blood taken care of and cleaned off. So make sure there's a blood station with solution, with something to wipe the mats and dry them with, to wipe and clean the wrestler with, and stuff for them to, plug their nose or wrap the bandages or whatever. All that stuff, gloves, so that when they're being treated, the person's wearing gloves. Okay. And then if they're cheerleaders, just make sure that they're not again encroaching on the safety area. So just give them their guidance. Say, girls, you can't be on the edge of the mat there. You gotta move back. Move back another 5 feet, please. Okay, support staff. The key ones are medical personnel. You gotta find out from the head coach or the site manager, do they have a designated person? They're not allowed to just go, oh, Ephraim's dad is a doctor, where's he at? Hey, is your dad here tonight? No. The designated person, somebody at the school is think about it this way, that if somebody is gonna get sued, the school's gonna go, yeah, we hired that guy. He represents our school. If Ephraim's dad is a doctor and he just is a fan sitting in the stands, they would never go to court and go, yeah, we'll stand behind whatever Ephraim's dad did. No. We didn't hire that guy, he is not, he's not our doctor. So ask them who the designated person is, and so it should be somebody that's going, oh, it's him. Okay, great. That means they have a designated person. Now, confirm with that medical person, if they're the designated person, are you certified in concussion management protocol? Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Because if they are, then fine. If they're not, then what we need to do is tell the coaches, both teams, hey, we don't have anybody certified in concussion management. If I see symptoms or signs of a concussion on a wrestler, he's done wrestling, the match is over, because there's nobody here to clear him. Okay? So, we gotta just confirm that before we ever start competition. And then, I always remind the trainer, the doctor, whoever it is, the nurse, that they have what the timeout limits are for injury or blood. Alright, whoever the site manager is, usually it's the AD, find out who they are and clarify with them that, look, I'm running the match out there, but if the fire alarm goes off, if there's, earthquake, whatever, I turn over control to you. Okay, great, yeah, of course. Oh, right, well, I just wanna make sure that there's no confusion, that people expect, oh, I'm the referee, and because I'm running the contest somehow, okay, everybody follow me. I'm like, no, I'm not, that's not my role. Okay, and then, if I eject anybody, Mr. AD, then I'll point them out to you and I need you to remove them. And we won't resume the competition until that person's gone, okay?
Does that even include like nasty parents and stuff like that?
Yeah, so again, want to clarify with this person, that's what I need you to do that for me. It's not like, oh, hey, you, come on. And I'm dragging some guy. No. I need, he needs to go. He's out of here.
Have you ejected parents before?
I have not ejected a parent before. So I've never had anyone cross the line that badly. Even though I came close because one dad was all animated at the middle school championships that his son lost, and the security people were holding him off on the upper level because I think he did want to come down and try to kick my ass. So, all right, pre-meet your table crew. These people are important. What I always tell my table crew is, hey, we work together as a team, and if we do our job properly, we won't affect anything that's going on the mat. That doesn't mean we have to be perfect, but it means that if we have an imperfection, that we're sort of helping each other, catching each other, right? And again, this is part of what the referee's manual will tell you, is that the good referee notices everything and is seldom noticed. Meaning that we're kind of invisible, nobody's focused on us. So, same is true as a table crew and an official. Like, we just want people to watch wrestling. We want wrestlers to just wrestle. We don't want anyone to go, oh, there's that stupid scorekeeper. Would somebody replace that girl? Like, that she put the points on the wrong person again, right? Like, you don't want that stuff happening. So, I always clarify everybody's role and I brief them up. And I brief them up whether I've been to the school before or not. This is part of my pilot training when I was in the Army and I flew helicopters, and we had a little checklist to start the helicopter and all of our procedures, and when we have passengers on, we give them a brief. And I don't care, General, yes, I know I just flew you yesterday, but remember, there's the exit, we do the seatbelts. Like, we just go through it every time. I had a scorekeeper down at Lindbergh High School. This is about 15 years ago. All right, have you done this? Yeah, I've been doing this for 12 years. I said, oh, okay, good, you're experienced then. He says, yeah. And I said, so there's a few things I want to cover, and then he started rolling his eyes like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? Like, I just told you I've been doing this 12 years. I'm like, oh, so here's how you do it, and I tell him all this stuff, and he's rolling his eyes the whole time. But I did it anyway. So then here we are in the middle of the dual meet, and we're in about the 5th match, and scores table's over there, and I'm circling around, the wrestlers are here, I'm circling around, and in my peripheral vision, something catches my eye over there, I glance up there, there's this guy who's keeping the scorebook, he's like standing up, he's walking away from the scores table in the middle of the match, like, okay, like, hey, where are you going? I'm getting some popcorn. There's a match going on, like, you're the scorekeeper, like, you need to sit down. So Mr. Oh, I've been doing it 12 years, he was a knucklehead. So you just brief them. Because again, it's all about preventive officiating and clarifying expectations with people and equipping them to do the right thing. That guy was a knucklehead. The reason he did that is because he didn't listen to my pre-meet briefing. Because he knew better. Well, he didn't. So with a timekeeper, I just want to always, with all these people, like, hey, have you done this before? Have you operated that? Okay, yeah, I do all the basketball games and I do all the home wrestling games. Okay, good. So let's confirm if they know what they're doing. And if they don't, we'll help them as best we can. I don't necessarily know how to operate that thing, but it may raise my awareness. Okay, I just need to sort of be sensitive. I'll make sure to give you plenty of time, like in between periods, to reset the clock and all that other stuff, right? I review with them the start and stop procedures for a match. So this is the start signal, whistle and arm up. This is the stop sign and the whistle, okay? Or out of bounds, right? So that way they know. So you got a visual and you got the audio. I always tell them, hey, I'll do my best to be really clear and loud. If I'm not, just let me know. I'll check at the end of the first 2 bouts, like you just give me feedback. And if I need to be louder or clearer, I will, okay? And then I always go over with them the procedures around the injury, blood, and recovery timeouts so that we're all good. Do you have a stopwatch for the, you'll use your iPhone? Okay, great. So you'll use that. And so just review those procedures with them so they are ready to do them versus if you don't, and then suddenly it's like, okay, start the injury clock, and then the guy's like, I don't even know how. Like, he's scrambling looking for a stopwatch or something. But we need to catch that stuff in our pre-meets, okay? And then I always review with them what the procedures are if the clock malfunctions, because none of them know. Most of the coaches don't know. So what happens in wrestling is if the clock malfunctions, we're just required to keep the time in our head until we get to a place where there's no significant action taking place, or they go out of bounds or something, or somebody pins somebody. So in other words, if there's significant action going on, we're just gonna let the wrestling continue, and we're gonna keep the clock in our head. So I always tell the timekeeper, look, if the clock malfunctions, don't buzz, don't throw a towel in, don't send anybody out there. Just yell to me, clock, 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 and I'll try to acknowledge, okay, I hear you, and I'll keep the time in my head. What we're trying to avoid is that your guy is turning the Kentwood kid onto his back, he's getting near fall, the clock is minute 20, minute 19, all of a sudden some kid's walking by and unplugs the scoreboard. And you throw a towel out there, and I blow the whistle, and he still had a minute 19, he could have pinned the kid. That's what that's what we're trying to avoid. So I'll just keep the clock in my head. When there's no action and I can stop the action, then I'll come over here and I'll say, hey, I estimate it was 30 seconds from the time you told me clock, clock, clock. Okay, so let's bring it down to 48 seconds. Is it ready to go? You got it? Okay, good. Now we'll restart. So just do that, because if they don't know that, they're gonna, the clock's frozen, throw a towel in. End of pinning situation. Or, kids in the middle getting a takedown, suddenly I'm blowing the whistle, and then it's like, there was still a minute left. Like, you could have finished that takedown. Alright, and then I'm going to remind them, hey, just cross-check with the scorekeepers, because all the kids can see what's on that scoreboard. And I don't want some kid thinking, hey, I'm ahead 6-5, there's 5 seconds left, he's just dancing around, and we find, no, it's actually 7-6. He just forgot to put those 2 points up. So we're trying to avoid those things. Okay, and then if you have any questions during the match, anything confusing about my signals, you're not sure what I did or whatever, just call me over as soon as the action stops, immediately, and let's get it corrected right there. With the scorekeepers, again, hey, have you ever kept the scorebook before? If they have, I always grab the scorebook anyway, look and see, sort of the notations they make to see if they're like good at it or not. I have a little handout that I can give them that shows them, like, these are the official signals, here's the scoring symbols, here's a sample score sheet, and how you would record and all that stuff. So if I feel like, okay, you're new at this, okay, yeah, I'll break this out. Like I said, so here, this is how we'll do it, right? I always remind them that the home book is the official book. So the visitors should be sitting at the table with them as well. A lot of the visiting teams won't put their scorekeeper up there at the scores table, and that's on them. But I always tell, the home book's the official book. If I don't remember any differently and there's a controversy, I'm just going to go with what's in your book. If it's wrong and I don't know any better, I just have to go with it. But that's why the home visitors should be there, so they should catch that stuff, because the thing is, they should cross-check each other at least at the end of every period. Hey, I've got our kid ahead 4-3. No, I've got 3-2. Wait a second, did you record that reversal? I don't know, there was no, okay, we better, Mr. Referee. And then we can fix it. So if they cross-check with each other, because I remind them, there's some mistakes I can't fix once the next period starts, some I can't fix once the next match starts. So, if you have a question, you ask me as soon as you know, because what we're trying to avoid is that in the third period, you say, hey, Mr. Referee, and I come over and I go, what is it? In the first period, was that a 3-point near fall or a 2-point? I mean, I don't know. So, you need to ask that in the first period. Alright, and then remind them, hey, cross-check what he's putting up on the scoreboard. Again, we're all working together, make sure it's all working right. And then I always inform them who's red and who's green, because sometimes it may not be so obvious. It might be two teams that have red uniforms. The convention is that green is the home team normally, and red is the visiting team. And that's the way scoreboards and stuff are built. Red's supposed to be visitors, and green is supposed to be home. But it may be Newport High School hosting Woodinville, and Newport has red singlets and Woodinville has green singlets. So we're just going to use common sense again, and I'm going to tell the scorekeepers and the timer, like, hey, Newport will be red and Woodinville will be green. Okay. Or if they both had red uniforms, and it'd be like, yeah, Newport, because of the home team, we're going to make them green, and Mount Si is the visitors, so they're going to be red. I'll tell them the random draw order. Hey, we're starting the 152-pound weight class tonight. Oh, okay, your coach told you, great. And then I'll always remind them they're supposed to circle whatever the first points scored in the match are. So in my little example, I have like this takedown in the first period is circled, but it could be a penalty in the third round in a 0-0 match. But whatever the first points are that are scored, that could be consequential if we go into overtime. That's all I tell them. Literally what happens is if they go into overtime and they can't decide it in the sudden victory or the two 30-second tiebreakers, and they get to what's called ultimate tiebreaker, then whoever scored the first points in the regular match gets their choice in the ultimate tiebreaker, which is the very last period. There will be a winner and a loser at the end of that round. So that's why they have to circle those points. But I don't have to explain all that to them. Just remind them, circle the first point scored. If we go into overtime, then that will become consequential. That's all they need to know. Okay? Always tell them at the start of the second period and third period, if I need to, I'll look to you. You can tell me who has choice, like you can just point to that bench, like it's Newport's got choice this time in the second round, or it's Woodinville. I'll try to track it myself, but if I need to, I'll look to you. Is it green? No, red? Okay. And then, again, same thing for them. If you have questions, just ask me as soon as you can. First time I stop the action, call me over. Let's clarify it, okay? And again, I tell them, I'll come over at the end of the first two bouts just to cross-check with you to see if I'm being clear enough, loud enough, whatever. And if I'm not, I'll adjust until I can get it right. Alright, so start of the meet. After they do introductions, they usually do the national anthem or pledge of allegiance or something, right? So we'll call the coaches and captains to the scores table, and you won't do this in the JV dual meets because most of these teams don't have like actual full teams. It's more like a series of exhibition matches, but in a regular dual meet, we'll call the coaches and captains, and if I need to, I'll use the announcer too, like, hey, call the coaches and captains to the head table. Coaches and captains to the scores table, right? They'll come over, and then I'll say, just a reminder, coaches and captains, your special role in the area of sportsmanship, okay? Captains go to the center of the mat, so off they'll go, and then I will shake hands with each coach, so this is sort of a visible sign in front of everybody, that the fans, everybody, the wrestlers, everybody see. And when I shake hands, I'll just say, hey, Ephraim, is your team in proper uniform, properly equipped, ready to wrestle? We're required to ask them that question, because the responsibility is actually on the coaches, that if their wrestlers are not ready to wrestle, it's not like, oh, you didn't tell me the kid needed to cut his fingernails. No. That's your responsibility. You're the coach. It's the kid's responsibility. Like, yes, I'm responsible for catching it. You're responsible for actually making sure he does that. And if I notice it, then I'm just going to call it. But the responsibility is on the coach to make sure their team is prepared. So we ask them that question, and we're shaking hands, and then, hey, good luck, right? Same thing with the visitor. So everybody sees me offering the sportsmanship to them, but I'm doing my duty in clarifying those things with them, ask that question, okay? And then go out to the center of the mat, and there again, I'll shake hands with each other. Hey, good luck tonight, good luck. good luck, good luck. I'll take the coin out and have them shake hands with each other, right? And then tell them, okay, Newport, you're red, Woodinville, you're green. We'll flip the coin and say, we started the 152-pound weight class tonight, flip the coin, let it hit the mat. I think in football, they probably tell you if you're flipping a coin toss that you're supposed to let it hit the ground. I know in the NFL they do that because they don't want any sort of, oh, I catch it and do this. Well, when I do that, I'm influencing them because I might see it, oh, it's heads, so therefore I can make it tails. Like they called tails and I'm trying to favor them. Flip, oh, now it's tails. Oh, you get choice. So, when we get out of this, I just flip the coin and let it hit the mat. Okay? And then the winning team gets to select their choice in the odd or even bouts. So it means at the beginning of the second period, if you select odd, then in bout number 1, bout number 3, bout number 5, bout number 7, etc., your wrestler will have choice at the beginning of the second period. And in our example, 152-pound weight class for tonight, that's bout number 1. Bout number 2 is a 160-pound weight class. Bout number 3 is 170. So I had a kid one time at Chief South, pretty smart kid actually. My hat's off to him for even understanding this, even though he was wrong. we started somewhere like in the upper weights, you know, and by the time we circled around his match, he's the 113-pounder, which is normally the second, you know, weight, 106, 113. So 106 was number 1, 113 number 2. Well, so we got to him, but it was an odd match because of where we started in the upper part. And so I was like, I turned to the opponent like, okay, you got a choice of top. No, I got a choice. Like, no, he has to. No, this is an even match. No, it's an odd match. He has to. No, this is 113. No, he has to. No, but I have to coach. I said, would you be quiet? No, this is not an even match tonight. This is like match number 7. But coach, oh, would you just shut up? So I applaud the kid for like being aware of that stuff. He was one of the few kids that even knows that stuff, but he was wrong in that case. Then as I get ready to dismiss the rest of the captains, again, hey, all right, so Newport, you win the toss, you chose the odd matches. Hey guys, just remember, set the example for sportsmanship. Good luck tonight. So off they'll go to their bench, and off I'll go to the table to then let the scorekeepers know, okay, Newport, again, is red. They won the toss. They want choice in the odd bouts. So that means in the 152 is bout number 1, 170 is bout number 3. Like, I'll just say that to the scorekeeper so they don't mess this up. Because again, they can make similar mistakes. They don't understand either. They might have filled in the thing starting at 106 down to 285 versus, oh, they started at 152 and then 106 is down here somewhere. Like they may not have it in the order it's going to happen, so that they would know, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. All right, times out. There's 4 kinds of times out. First is what we call injury time. This is if we have to stop because somebody's hurt and it wasn't caused by an illegal action. Not an illegal hold, not unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike conduct or something. It's just they're wrestling and somebody got hurt. So we're going to issue the injury timeout, stop the match, and signal injury timeout. This is the signal. Injury time green, injury time red. We're going to do that if the wrestler requests it. So maybe the wrestler's like, I need injury time. Like, okay. If he tells you he needs it, don't second guess him. Just give it to him. Safety reasons, we don't want, he's okay, like don't, the risk of doing that, he's okay, maybe he's not, and now you're like, something's getting aggravated or he's going to get seriously hurt, and now you're sort of liable for something, because you toughen up kid, like, if he asks for your timeout, give it to him, okay? Or, I determine as the referee that he needs it, so it's like, wham, he gets slammed down kind of hard and he's not very responsive, and I'm looking at him thinking, oh, that was kind of, came down a little bit hard. Hey, are you okay down there, bottom end? Are you okay? Injury time green. Like, he didn't respond, no, I'm okay, no, right, I was worried. If I'm worried, then I'm just going to stop it, and I'm going to issue injury time to him, okay? So, either he asked for it, or in my judgment, I saw a jeopardy, and based on the circumstances, I decided he needs injury time. Okay? But I'm always, when I have a question, I'm just going to ask the kid. Because sometimes it's like, are you okay down there? Okay? I'm just trying to make sure, right? Some of these holds are painful. They're not illegal, they just hurt, right? You get, guy puts a tough move on you, so, so they may be grunting or, you know, a little bit of squealing, but that's, if I'm not sure, are you okay down there? Do you need injury time? No. Okay, just checking. Alright, once we stop the injury clock, they have to be ready to wrestle. So it's not like, okay, stop the injury clock, and then the kid's gonna spend 30 seconds pulling his socks up, adjusting his headgear, stretching, make sure that's okay. All that stuff needed to take place before we said stop the injury clock. Because then it's like, okay, take your position on the bottom. Not like, okay, are you done yet? You gonna wrestle anytime in the next hour? Like, so it needs to be ready to go. Okay? And then the match gets terminated if they exceed either of these two maximums. Either 2 times out or 90 seconds cumulative injury time. If they exceed either of those, the match is over. So if they ask for a 3rd injury timeout, boom, that's it, it's over. Or if the kid's sitting there, uses an injury timeout in the first round, uses 1 minute, we resume wrestling, and then in the second round, suddenly he's like, injury time again,